We'll get started. The goal of this is going to be surviving the apocalypse. This is going to mostly cover survival. It's not going to cover like militias and guns and community and all that. This is going to be taking you and your small family unit, whether that's you and a spouse, you and kids, you and a pet, and basically saying these are the things you will need to sustain yourself over a long period of time, whether that's weeks or months, whether that's just a couple of days, what you'll need to have for the worst case scenario, because everything under that will then be like no problem. You'll be able to relax and go over the checklist you have because this isn't the worst case scenario. Let's go to the next slide.
Love your background.
Thank you. So why prepare? I joke about the zombie apocalypse because it's more of, again, thinking of what the worst possible scenario could be. And if you're prepared for that, everything short of that, you're already prepared for. So in your normal life, in your day to day, buy supplies, practice. The biggest one is like go camping. If you can take things in a backpack out into the woods and live for a couple of days, you're off to a much better start than anybody else. Things are normally going okay, your life is fine. Then you have your local disruptions, whether it's somebody hits like a power transformer and powers out in your neighborhood for a day or two, and you have to, rely on food that's in the fridge because you can't order DoorDash or you can't do like that minor interruption to your day. Then above that, you have your natural disasters, things where parts of your home may be destroyed and you can't live there. There's, supplies like trucks and foods not coming in, things that disrupt your normal day-to-day routine. If you go to the grocery store every couple of days or once a week, and now you don't have that, so your supplies are stretched thinner, this is designed to give you sort of a buffer zone so that you can survive longer than your normal routine. Then you have, again, all the way up to the zombie plague, where you're going to have to scrounge and scavenge and survive all on your own. So, like I said, the worst case scenario means everything under that is good. So, next slide. So, a whole bunch of kind of keywords or key phrases here. So, the first thing is practice. What you can do today is learn how to start a fire, learn how to set up a tent, learn how to purify water, like all the things that you don't want to have to figure out when you need to. The practice ahead of time will literally save your life and make sure that you feel more confident. The general rule of two is one and one is none. I don't know if we've ever seen a horror movie where like the flashlight dies 5 minutes after they start using it. The one thing you have is going to fail you when you need it most. So you want a backup. Most of the lists I have here, I try to do three. So that you have like the hardest one to do, a decent option, and then like this is easy, takes 2 seconds. So like starting a fire, multiple different options. How to purify water, multiple different options. Things to use to make a survival shelter, multiple different options. Um, the rule of threes is a good thing to keep in mind. Generally, you can survive 3 minutes without air. So, like if you're trapped underwater or can't breathe for some reason, after 3 minutes, that's when it starts to permanently affect like brain damage. 3 hours in extreme weather conditions, whether that's frostbite, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, all those types of deals. 3 days without water. You need a good supply of water, and you'll also want to know how much you typically drink in a day. I know the recommendation is like a gallon. I've tried. I can't keep that up for more than a couple of days. My normal is somewhere about half a gallon or a little less of water a day. So once you kind of know what your baseline is, you'll know how much you need for a week, how much for a month, and then how much you'll need to either keep on standby before purifying more or how much to store or need to purify, and then 3 weeks without food. So if you have to cut down to one meal a day or cut two meals into or one meal into two, how much you'll need to survive for yourself and for others. One of the things I'll cover when we get to the sections there are you probably already have a lot of things at home that can help you. You don't need to necessarily go out and buy everything off a list. A lot of things you can either take a cheap version at home or make do with what you've got, like lighters or trash bags, things that are very versatile for situations like this that will flex into different positions, so you don't need to go out and spend a whole bunch of money right now in case things are happening tomorrow. You can kind of pick where you can most effectively spend your money. Um, the kind of typical triangle for like construction applies here. were like cheap, fast, and good, and you get to pick two. Like if you pick cheap and fast, it's not going to be good. So for these, when you're picking survival gear, those three options are cheap, light, and durable. You can pick something light and durable, but it's not going to be cheap. Like there's a couple items on this list where the cheap version is like 40 bucks. It weighs a couple of pounds and it's really durable. The expensive version is like half a pound, but it, is $140 and it tears apart easy. So this rule applies to a lot of gear. Being from the military side, I tend to go with the cheap and durable because I want it to last a long time. I don't want to have to like gingerly take care of my gear to make sure it survives. I want to be able to beat it up a little bit and have it still, not tear apart and have holes or break. Um, yep. So yeah. So for starting fires, well, we can go to the next one. For starting fires, practice like in your driveway. Don't practice in your garage or like in your kitchen or in like, set up a tent in your backyard. You don't need to go out to a camping site and risk, setting up your tent out there and find out that you're missing a piece because you didn't inspect, all the parts before you got out to the campsite and you're missing tent stakes or poles or something. Set it up in your backyard or, somewhere public where it's, a quick thing. And also you'll get better with it. Like most of the decent tents you can set up in about 5 minutes, but some of them take 10 or 15 the first time. And then once you get the hang of it, it's much quicker. And then you can figure out, oh, this is extra. I don't need this. So the two kind of items I've put on here, the two sections are more of like the essentials and then extra. So we'll cover the big three, which are the main items in your kit: how to start fires, how to be prepared to start fires, water, how to purify water, how to collect water, how to store water, how to know when it's safe to drink, the clothing items you'll need, and that's based on both the season and where you are. Obviously, everybody in Texas knows you're mostly hot. Everybody up in Minnesota knows like your winters get cold. What gear you need will depend on where you are as well. And then cooking and food, all the different options you have there. Some of the helpful tools, so things to throw, in your bag to make things easier for you. And then our other gear, first aid items, and then some luxury items, because the whole point of surviving isn't just to, suffer through whatever period of time it is. You want to actually enjoy life as well. So we'll have some things to make it worth, going through all this crap for. So maybe double check. Yep. So the next slide is our big three. These are typically defined as your tent, your sleeping bag or sleeping system, and your pack. So what you'll want is a tent that is rated for your weather. Most tents are 3 seasons, which are, summer, spring, and fall. Your 4 season tents include winter. They're going to be heavier. They're typically going to be, a little bit more expensive because the materials are thicker and, more durable, more waterproof, more, weather and windproof. The big thing I recommend for tents is however many people it says it's rated for, either bump it up one or buy, more than one you need. So like I don't buy a 1-person tent, I'll buy a 2-person tent because I want a little bit of extra room. I don't want like a coffin to sleep in. I want to be able to have elbow room. I want to be able to sit up. If it's, the weather outside is bad, I want to be able to eat inside the tent, even though that's not, a good recommendation. I want to have room to bring in some of my gear. So I buy a tent one size larger than the number of people I want in it. If you're fine with just sliding into there or you're looking for the most minimal one, they do make those what are called bivy tents that are basically like you slide in from one end and they're just like a coffin sized thing. Your sleeping system, you'll want to buy a sleeping bag that is going to be for the temperature you're in. Most of them have multiple ratings. They'll have like comfort and like survival or like maximum rating, where if it says 30 degrees, you'll be comfortable at 30, but it may be, below 20 is not where it's rated. There's different types of sleeping bags, both, the material and the shape. So I prefer the ones that have like a wider foot box so my legs aren't together in the sleeping bag. Want to, spread out and stay cool in the sleeping bag instead of like generating all the sweat and heat in there. Then there's the mummy bags that are more like trim. There's synthetic and down, and there's, real materials. Again, the cost comes into that. Synthetics are much cheaper. They dry out quicker when they get wet, I think. I'm pretty sure on that. The real ones tend to be, much better at insulating, but they also have like all the feathers kind of coming out, so they might fall apart over time. Underneath your sleeping bag, especially if you're putting your tent right on the ground, you'll want to look at like sleeping mats or air mattresses. There are multiple types from inflatables to foams. There's also like folding, like accordion eggshell style ones that you can, like when you fold it all up and it stacks, you can sit on it. I have both where if I'm putting this like air inflated mattress right on the ground, I don't want to risk a stick poking up on it through the tent and popping a hole in it. So I have like a 1 inch foam to go under that. And that also helps insulate you. Those multiple layers stack when you're sleeping. So you'll stay warmer throughout the night. Um, the last thing of these, and even like all the way at the end, once you get all of your gear, that's when you buy your pack. The pack should be the last thing you buy because you need to know how big it is to know what to fit in it. Don't buy a pack and then try to fit everything else into it and make, compromises on what you can fit in your pack. Get everything you need and then get a bag that fits all that. So the pack should be the last thing you buy of all your gear, or once you get close to the end and you're kind of nitpicking over little things at the end. What I have on here is a larger military style pack. All those kind of straps you see stitched on the outside, you can actually fit extra bags onto those. You basically weave the straps on the bag into it, similar to like the pack I'm carrying here. Like you weave those things in, and you can get extra things on the outside. Yes, Debbie, I do have several things. I used to have a whole bunch in my car. When I, took it to get detailed, I took everything out, but I will keep a pack with like a 3 day supply of things, and then I'll keep the like larger cases with everything in there. And then I'll also keep something next to the bed with like a couple bottles of water, a miniature first aid kit, batteries for my, cell phone to recharge on, my tablet and things like that, earbuds, hearing protection for shooting, all that kind of stuff. So I have like 3 different bags. One is like my daily bag, a 3 day bag, and then like the full on camping kit bag in the back of the car. So yeah. Um, Let me make sure I've got no notes on here. When you put things in your pack, you'll want to put them in waterproof bags. Now, there are dedicated like camping waterproof bags. They're like a nylon or, like polyester material that's waterproof that roll up and clip. Yes, I keep about $100 in cash on me. I, don't use it that often. Every couple of weeks or, every other month or so, I'll take another little bit out and stockpile and then spend it where I need to. So keeping cash is good. There's actually Morgan Freeman, the actor, keeps like he wears gold earrings. His philosophy is like if he dies somewhere, he has those gold earrings so that they can get a coffin wherever he is. So that pays for his, coffin storage. So you can keep like there, yeah, there are a lot of people that not even in their wallet, like they'll have a belt with like a pouch on it or like an ankle like wallet so that it's not in their main wallet in case they get mugged or robbed. They've got like an emergency stash. Some people will have like a good fake looking watch so that they can, trade that for things somewhere. So you can have items for those sorts of things. Um, these waterproof bags, when you put them in your kit or in your backpack for camping, I used to see a lot of people, and again, trying to retrain my Marines to critically think, like, don't put, the phrase, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Look at that as a wider picture than just eggs. They would put all their socks in one dry bag. And I'm like, okay, great. But what if that bag tears? Now you have no good socks. They're all wet or all dirty or whatever. Individually pack underwear and socks in each bag. Have, 7 bags with underwear and socks in each one. That way, if any one bag gets, compromised, you don't lose an entire set of supplies. Use one small subset. So, think when you're packing, like don't put all of your food in one bag. So, yeah. If they come up, Debbie, ask them. I'll try to, sideways answer those in here. So don't save them all to the end. But if you think of something, write it down so you don't forget. I'm really bad about forgetting my questions if I wait on them. So um, there are things we're going to see come up in a couple of slides, like ponchos. Like I said, with your you can buy a poncho. They're fairly cheap. Like even the high end ones are like 30 or $40 for a weatherproof like rain jacket to throw on. But like we talked about a couple of days ago, watching this TV show where people are taping up their houses with painters tarps, and you're like, how does everybody have just a supply of painters tarps? Grab your garbage bags, like cut a garbage bag in half so it's a rectangle and just tape it over stuff. You can do the same thing for a poncho. Cut a couple armholes, cut a little loop for the head, and your garbage bag is a rain poncho, or a bag for waterproof stuff. Um, so yeah, Debbie, there are Army surplus websites, and then there's obviously like Army Navy surplus stores where you can get the same thing the military uses, or like the last generation of gear that they use that they no longer use because it was replaced with a newer item, and they're half of what they would cost new. The military stuff does tend to be a little bit heavier, but it's also going to last a lot longer and be a lot more durable than like the cheap backpack from Walmart, or the really high end lightweight. Like there's different levels in backpacking. There's ultra lighters where like everything they've got is like 6 pounds, but their tent is like spider silk. And it's like, well, one small rip and your tent is worthless. And like, well, I don't care. They spend all their money on this. So it's really expensive, high quality, low weight gear. But that's not what I would want to rely on, in the end of the world scenario. So, um, yep. So next slide. Here is the fire slide. So starting a fire is one of those things like you see in almost every, survival movie, every, action movie. They have to start a fire somewhere. Don't rub two sticks together. That's like, if you want to practice that, great. But that's the most time consuming, annoying, dumbest way to waste your time, is rubbing sticks together. What you'll want is one of these. The easiest one, just buy a cheap Bic lighter. Like there's a reason everybody, uses them. They're effective and they work. One step up from that is the nice Zippo. Get a Zippo lighter. They're way better. They make these, you can see kind of on the bottom middle there, the stormproof like hurricane matches. Those matches can get wet. If they get wet, they will still light. Those are great for survival and camping, because when the weather's horrible is the most important time you want to start a fire. Then you have these fire plugs. These are just little bits of like fiber, and then they're soaked in material so that when you flick the lighter, they light right away. Then you start your tinder and your kindling to start that fire. Don't go out and buy these, because what you have at home can make one. Go to your dryer after you wash like towels or sweatpants or like cotton or linen clothes, and that dryer lint is a perfect like fire starter material. You can use cotton balls and just like rub them in Vaseline, just a tub of petroleum jelly, and then throw them in a Ziploc bag. A cotton ball soaked in Vaseline, or with Vaseline on it, is the same thing as those fire plugs. Those are just I don't have the time, or I'm too lazy to get cotton ball fire starters. They're essentially the same thing. Then you have these ferro rods, or I think it's like ferrocium or ferrocium rods. So they're the flint and rock you see people sparking in movies, just one of those little things, and you can flick your kindling to start the fire. The rule for fire, like starting a fire with sticks, is again kind of like the rule of three, where the first one, for like the starting the fire, you want it to be as thick as pencil lead, like from a number two pencil, like real thin pieces. Whether you take like a knife and do shavings, or you're like trying to find dry little sticks on the ground, you'll want that really thin stuff to start the fire quickly. Then once that fire is started, then you want ones about the size of a pencil in order to get the fire like sustainable. And then you can start putting on like the ones like the size of your thumb, logs as thick as your arm, like the actual like fire that will sustain through the night. So again, rule of threes is pencil lead, pencil, wrist, or however you want to think of that, thumb, arm, whatever. So starting a fire is going to be the thing you'll want to be able to do the quickest, because by the time you really think you need one, you're probably cold and miserable, and you don't want it to take 20 minutes. So the things fire needs are the fuel, the air, and the spark. So the fuel is the fire, the air is either the oxygen around it or lightly blowing on it. You don't want to blow out your embers, but you do want to give them oxygen, and then your spark, which is starting the fire. So those three things as well start. So after fire comes water. So next slide. So here we've got several things for water. Down at the bottom, that Sawyer squeeze. that will screw onto a lot of like common water bottle lid sizes. So if you just fill the water bottle with, not dirty water, but water from like a stream or something, that filters out pretty good. And you can just drink straight off of that. There's also a Life Straw, which is another similar product. I believe Life Straw also like donates some of your purchase to help provide clean drinking water for places. So like they're environmentally friendly company. That canteen in the top right corner is called a Grail, Grayl. That you see like the sleeve on the left and the canteen or the jug on the right. You basically fill that little canteen with water, or that little like sleeve with water, and you push the canteen down on top of it, and it filters water through up the bottom. You kind of see the like filter on the bottom, so that you can kind of keep using as you go, straight from the source. The jugs on the left. So a lot of times when like these natural disasters hit, you'll see people like trying to get water, like they go to the grocery store and like grab jugs off the shelf. The two things you can and should do is fill your tub. Like if you've got a tub in your house, if you've got a sink, stop them up, whether that's, shoving something in the bottom, if the stopper doesn't fully stop it up, but fill every container you can with water from the sink, because you don't know when that supply is going to get shut off. So the other things you can get are like these little jugs that you can have here, and they go all the way up to like one's the size of like a stove that hold like 400 or 600 gallons, and you can just fill those up, purify the water in there, and store water for later. I think water lasts for several years if you treat it with the right systems. So you can just store it and keep it and just slowly work off of that until it's empty and then refill it again. What you'll want to look in the bottom right are those Aquamira tablets. You can also do iodine tablets. You can also just use bleach. So you'll want to use 5 to 6 drops of, I think it's like 5.25% bleach per gallon of water, and that'll purify it. You'll want to use unscented bleach. Don't use, yeah, don't bring up shockers again. Unscented bleach, not like lavender or lemon. Like don't try to flavor the water that you're purifying. Use unscented bleach. And then there's a higher concentration of bleach. I think it's like 8 point something percent. And you only want to use like 4 or 5 drops. So it's like 6 to 8 of the lower percentage, three 3 or 4 drops, or 4 or 5 drops for higher ones. So you can purify it with bleach. The other thing is if you have glass containers, whether that's, alcohol jugs or like old Coke bottles, glass, leave it out in the sunlight and let, UV sterilize the water. Boiling water, you'll want to boil water for about 2 minutes to kill everything in it. So, get a fire, get the water boiling, wait 2 minutes, and then you can drink that water. Don't drink it right after it's boiling. Let it cool down. There's a lot of ways to purify water. The other one, and I don't like this method because it's a whole lot of materials, but like you'll basically double filter it through a t-shirt and then filter it through, charcoal and filter like, but there are ways to use the charcoal from your fire and double t-shirts to strain water. The cleaner you can get the water from the beginning, the easier it is. If it's muddy or cloudy, run it through like a t-shirt or a bandana. So I'd say that's something to like add to your backpack, is put like a net gaiter or a bandana or a spare t-shirt or something and just use that for filtering water from a drinking source like this, like from a stream, and then purify it after that. Don't try to purify muddy water. You want to strain it as clean as you can first. Okay, your bleach has a 1 year shelf life. So if you like store bleach to use for purifying water, use that for other stuff. And I have like 3 bottles that I cycle through the oldest one. So I've always got like 2 or 3 gallons of bleach on hand. And that should be like, I don't know how many gallons of water. I think it was like 10,000 or something ridiculous.
How long
Um,
would you actually trust bleach for? Like if everything ended?
I mean, I treat it similar to food, where I think they say eggs are like, oh, like don't keep eggs longer than 2 weeks. I'm like, I've had eggs for like 6 weeks to 2 months, and I couldn't tell the difference. So it's
Yeah.
probably longer than that. I would trust bleach 4 to 5 years. Like it's got to be better than nothing and not using it. Maybe I'd use a bit more, figuring that it like diluted or weakened over time. But yeah, like I don't know what the actual shelf life of bleach is, but the recommendation was a year, and I'm like, sure, that sounds good enough. Like it's again, do stuff now so that you're prepared if something happens. don't run to the grocery store to buy bleach when you need it. Have it now, and then you can keep, some on hand. It's fairly inexpensive, and just have your cleaning supplies under the sink. Have a couple jugs of bleach, because again, it's like 6 to 8 drops per gallon. That's like one jug of bleach is going to be a good decent amount of water to purify. So, um, okay, 12 to 18. Like I said, I figured about a year. Um, these like straw type devices that you attach on, or any kind of like filter, they can get clogged, because that's essentially what it's doing, is filtering out things larger than it can purify. So you want to back flush it. So basically, instead of water going one direction through it to drink, filter water through the other direction to get all that stuff off the filter, so that you don't have to like replace it or throw it away, because it can be cleaned and used for much longer than just it's first clogged up. So make sure you check the instructions on any kind of like filter, so that you're back flushing it often, because you also notice like a reduction in flow. Like if it used to take, 2 minutes to squeeze through a gallon of water, and now it's taking 10, it's probably clogged up and you're getting much less flow through. So back flush it or spray it off, or rinse it off somewhere, so that the filter is clean to get water through it again. Um, there's different ways to keep water. Some people prefer these like Nalgene bottles that kind of flex or squeeze back up, or a lot of people use like smart water bottles, so that they, have a more rigid drinking container that they're used to. I'm fine with Camelback bladders. Like we use those in the military, just that little like 3 liter, bladder on the back with a straw that you drink through, rather than having to reach for a water bottle that I take in and out of a pouch every time. I'm fine with those. They're a little more annoying to clean, but if all you do is put clean water in it, don't use your bladder to filter water, you only put clean water in it, it'll be much easier and faster to clean than if you're putting dirty water into it trying to filter it through there. So when you're looking at containers for water, make sure it's BPA free. All those microplastics and what is it, PFUs, whatever the like dirty materials are in plastic materials. Make sure that the container you're drinking out of isn't slowly poisoning you. Uh, you can use coffee filters to filter water. I don't know if anybody still uses those, because we all use pods, but if you've got coffee filters, things like that work. In a pinch, you can use, a couple of paper towels, as long as they don't, break apart. So buy decent brand name paper towels, don't buy a store brand, all that kind of stuff. They also make flashlights that put out UV light, little like sticks, or a flashlight with a UV lens, and you can purify water with ultraviolet rays, just like the sun would do. I think that's a little overboard, because that's an extra piece of gear that only does one thing really specifically, when there's much more options out there. But yeah, we have the Amazon list. Yeah, there it is. I'll paste it again. So that Amazon list is basically everything you see on this slide. I've added there. I did try to have 3 tiers of things. So we've got like, listen, if I need to buy everything right now, I can't drop 10 grand on all this stuff. I can specify like, $1,000 or 2,000. So there's budget options on there. Then there's your middle of the road, where it's like, this is 80% as good as a top notch item, but it's half the cost. And then you've got your no cost, no expense spared, top of the line, like high dollar items are also on there. I tried to have 2 to 3. So things like that. Next slide. This one I couldn't get a whole lot for, because most of what you have is perfect for the environment you're in. What we've got basically are my favorite socks, merino wool socks. The great thing about merino wool is that it's naturally like antimicrobial. So if you're wearing these for a couple days and they're getting stinky and sweaty, leave them out to dry, and they don't build up like nasty mold and mildew on them. They're odor resistant, so they don't stink as bad. The very best brands are like $25 for a good pair of socks, but once you start wearing merino wool socks, you probably won't go back to Hanes or Fruit of the Loom or anything. Like I will live and die on merino wool socks. They're phenomenal. Um, you'll want to get your headgear, whether that's a nice hat like that, just a baseball cap. Some people prefer beanies, or uh, like ski caps that you can pull down, or fold up, whatever that is. Your rain ponchos, whether that's just like a tracksuit with sleeves, or if it's a just like rain parka, a rain poncho. What you'll want is waterproof, and most backpacks will come with like a cover that keeps it mostly waterproof, but you can also like get a poncho with like a cape on the back that drapes over your pack as well, so the water doesn't get in there. You may want to get like gaiters for your shoes, so like water doesn't sneak in there, or galoshes or something to go over your feet, so that if you do need to go over a like small stream or creek, that you either don't have to wade through it in your shoes, or don't take your shoes and socks off to go through it and then have to put them back on the other side. But wet socks suck. Don't have only one pair of socks. Pack a lot of extra socks and a lot of pair of underwear. The gross but practical recommendation is you can turn your underwear inside out and stretch them. So double up your lifespan on underwear, flip them inside out. Other than that, wool keeps moisture a lot longer than synthetic or other natural materials. Wool kills. Like wool takes more of your body heat to dry out, so you don't want that. You want your clothing to keep you warm. You don't want to have to waste energy drying out your clothes with your body heat, so don't avoid wool. Merino wool is the exception. That's a magical sheep wool. So
Oh,
yes. So also layers. Like don't buy one thick coat, because then you're trapped between like my t-shirt or my thick coat. You'll want to like have a fleece and a hoodie and a coat and a jacket, because then you can take off and add layers to perfectly fit the scenario. So if you have one big coat, great, but have other things under that. Thicker materials help trap in heat better with that air layer in between the two layers. If it's not like just a like very thin layer trapping heat and moisture in, you also want your clothes to breathe, so that air, moisture gets out, but that it doesn't get through. So look at the items you're buying, test everything to make sure it fits well. Make sure once you get to those like later layers, you're buying a size up, because you're putting it on over 3 or 4 layers of clothing. So make sure that you're, test fitting things and buying things the size that work, not just a size that fit you. So next slide. So cooking and food. So I didn't put one of the ones of the food tubs on here, but basically those 30-day tubs of food are cheap. They don't take up a lot of space, but they're not the most flavorful, and they're not the most efficiently packed. Like when you get a 30-day supply of food, some of them, that whole 30 days of rice is in one bag. So make sure you open it up and look at the tub when you get it, so that like, oh, I'm going to need to keep bags to store excess in once I open this up. These mountain house or like camping meals, I literally tried. AI would not do a well done steak. The Mountain House, or there's a couple of other brands like Ready to Go. These individual meals, they're more expensive because you're paying for a lot of packaging. They are like better flavored. My biggest recommendation is, buy a couple of these and make them beforehand. My personal feeling is they tell you to put in like 50% too much water. They'll say to put in like this amount, and it's like eating soup every single time. So I cut back on the amount of water I put in. I think their mentality behind that is you're not drinking enough water, so they want you to drink more, so they tell you to add too much. I just would rather drink more water than drown my food. So when you make these, test them beforehand. um, they also, to me, aren't a big enough meal, especially if I was like, going camping all day or like hiking. At the end of the day, this wasn't enough food. So pack snacks, pack, more food than you'll need. Like if you're going out for 3 days, don't pack 3 days worth of food. Pack at least an extra day's worth, because things happen. You might get stuck out there longer. You might feel like you need another meal. Have more. Have things high in protein, high in fiber and carbs and all that junk. Have snacks with sugar to give you an energy boost on the way. In the middle of those titanium pots, when you are making your dinner, don't put your food in the pot. Heat up the water in the pot, then put the water in the container. Because if you make your food in the pot, you'll have to clean it, and that's more water. And you don't want to clean your pot with dirty water. You'll have to clean it with clean water, and then you do clean more. Like, so make things easier for yourself up front. It's also easier to heat up water to boiling when it's just water and doesn't have to heat up that dry food as well. So these titanium food things, essentially what you'll see on the right is that fuel canister, and then the little flame stove screwed on top. That one, the little like handle lever you see on the side is actually what ignites it. Some of them don't have that. You'll have to keep a lighter to start it. It doesn't have the, lighter on it to start the fire. What you'll want is either those mixed fuels. There's a bunch of other type of camping fuels, but also they make different size canisters of these. So what I did was I looked up, how long will this last at, medium heat or high heat, and then figure out how much it takes to boil the water, and then, that certain amount of water that you'll need for a meal, and then figure out how many meals will one of these canisters heat. I think these are like 250 milligram or milliliter canisters are like 10 to 12 liters of water or whatever. So that's okay. That's about, if a half a liter of water makes one dinner and I'm making a lunch and a dinner, that's about 10 days or 2 weeks worth of food. So the canister or the canister I got fits neatly inside the camping tin or the camping pot I got. I think it's like a 450 or 550 milliliter. So when I take that canister, it fits in there, and there's enough room left over for that uh, stove part to fold on top, and then put the lid on and put it in a little storage mesh bag. So that's about 2 weeks worth of heating food right there. Then you've got these titanium sporks. Um, I prefer the one with the smooth face on it. There are ones that just keep that like titanium finish, but that felt weird eating off of a non-smooth spoon. So I got the smooth one. Get a long spork, because these camping bags with food, you're going to be digging at the bottom to get every little last bit of food out of there. And I'm too lazy to want to cut the bag every single time to like be able to get further to the bottom. Just buy a long handled spork. Um, there's nice ones out there. The titanium ones are like $12. They're really not that bad. They'll last forever and not get too dirty. So this is kind of your whole kit here is the fuel, the stove, the utensil, and your pot to cook water in. Back scratcher. Let me get the, see if I can do a, nope. I'm gonna have to argue with Jiffy. So next slide. So tools. This is where we get into all like the extra stuff of, how much do you need? How much do you want? So on the very top left here, we've got the old school Lensatic compass, the whole, don't hold it near anything metal because it'll throw off the magnets, but that's your north, south, east, west. That'll get you your common directions. If you want to spend money and get something more expensive but a little bit easier to use, you've got your Garmin, Fortrex or Garmin, GPS devices, but those run off batteries. So you're going to need a battery to recharge it, spare batteries for it, cables to plug it in. So know the pros and cons and the trade-offs of the things you're getting. The nice thing about a lot of these is you can upload the maps to it beforehand, so that you don't need, to constantly check off GPS satellites. So the you can also get apps on your phone. There's, I'm trying to remember the name of the good one that I got, but there's apps that have maps of like, the public camping sites and all that sorts of things. So the devices you have a backup for when they fail, because that's what's going to happen. Like eventually batteries are going to die. If you need to be out longer than you need it, if you threw it in your bag, and it's bouncing around in there, something's going to hit that on button and it's going to be on the whole time it's in your pack. You're going to pull it out and the battery's going to be dead the first time you use it. So have a way to recharge it, and then have a way, like a backup way, to do what that thing does for when it goes bad. One of my favorite things to keep on me is one of those knives. So like on the middle left there, I couldn't find a high-end version. I looked for like 30 minutes for the nicest one I could find. The knife I could get was like 30 or 40 bucks. The three things on here, obviously the knife to cut things, and 99% of the time that's open in boxes. I know anytime like Sandy needs to open presents, I'm handing over my knife to cut things open. The other two things this has are the seatbelt cutter. I keep this knife in my like pocket all the time. It's got a little belt clip on it. I slip it inside my pocket and the clip is on the outside of the pocket. If you get into an accident and you're trapped like upside down in your car and your seatbelt won't come undone because there's weight on it, you can't depress the button to get you to get a seatbelt cutter. The orange thing above it is just a seatbelt cutter and window breaker, but why not have all three in one on you at all times? On the back of it, you see that little point. It breaks windows. I unfortunately don't have enough money to buy a car to test breaking windows on. Maybe we could go to a junkyard one day and try it, but a window breaker and a seatbelt cutter are like the best two things to have. I've got one in the center console of my car as well. I don't recommend leaving it in your cup holder because if you're in an accident, it's flying out of the cup holder and who knows where it's going to be in your car. So, there are things where you can clip it to your seatbelt. Again, I prefer somewhere like located on the car where it's not going to slide around, whether that's the glove box, the center console. There's magnets you can like screw into the dash of your car, clip it to a magnet somewhere, anything like that. But these seatbelt cutters and window breakers are pretty neat. If you don't have one of those and the best thing you've got is like, I don't know, like a quarter or a dime or something, you're trying to like scratch your window. If you're trying to break the window of your car, don't go for the middle, go for the corners. That's where like all the pressure is located so that it, try it. But I've seen like in movies where they try to have like the action star break the window, the bloopers and the outtakes where they're sitting there slamming their elbow into a car window forever and they have to like, scratch the window beforehand. Don't go for the middle of the window. It's the corners. There's clips on YouTube I'll dig up of like, reporters trying to show how easy it is to break into a car, and they look like idiots because they're going for the middle of the window. Go for the corners. Headlamps, if you don't want to like, you don't want to have somebody holding your flashlight, or you don't want to, have to do things with one hand because your other hand is holding the flashlight and you're trying to like, start a fire or cut something at night with an axe or a saw, and you have to sacrifice or hold it, your flashlight in your mouth. Headlamps are great because the light goes exactly where you're looking. These little rechargeable USB headlamps last for like 4 or 6 hours, and they recharge via USB. Some of them take like a AA or AAA battery. I prefer not to have battery things because then you've got to take batteries with you. I prefer rechargeable, and then I'll just get a battery pack and like a solar panel, like a little foldable solar thing to recharge, and then you can like cycle that through all your devices. But these headlamps are nice. Most of them have multiple modes. They'll have a low mode, a high mode, and then a red light mode, so you don't kill your night vision or kill the battery using the white lights at night. The e-tool, the shovel of the military, it folds up. So like the head, the shaft, and the base of it all fold into one. You can clip that into the outside of your pack. That's for, digging holes, whether it's to bury your food, to, make a latrine to do your business in. E-tools are pretty much nice. Yeah. Well, whiskey will still need dog treats. The e-tool is pretty heavy. It's not really necessary. If you look on the Amazon wish list, there are little trowel shovels. You can also just go to Lowe's and get like a gardening trowel shovel. Again, the smaller your shovel, the more you're going to have to dig, but the bigger your shovel, the heavier it is and the more room it takes up. So you're going to have to figure out where that trade-off is on your trowel or your digging shovel. So the other big piece of advice is when you're digging your poop hole, the shovel does not touch the poop. Remember that rule. The shovel does not touch the poop. Dig your hole, poop in the hole, then cover up the hole. Don't poop somewhere and then scrape your poop into the hole with the shovel, because feces is a horrible spreader of disease, and getting it anywhere, whether it's your food, your clothes, you don't want poop anywhere. So the poop does not touch the shovel. So as cool as it would be to carry an axe and chop down trees like a lumberjack, axes take up a lot of room and they're kind of heavy. So these foldable saws are great. Like you can rip through tree limbs and branches with these things really quick. So having one of these in your pack, they weigh like half a pound. So fold them up, stuff them in a side pocket in there, pull it out, and you can cut down branches and tree limbs and whatever you need for a fire or making a shelter. Or if you need to makeshift a tent pole or something, those things are great. Again, on the Amazon wish list, there's a little like hand saw, but not like a carpenter's hand saw. It's more like a like bike chain with a couple of handles on it. And that thing, you just throw it over a tree and then like saw back and forth like you're running with your arms, and it saws through tree limbs. They're really light. They don't take up a lot of space, but they're a lot more effort. You're going to get tired a lot faster using those. So again, pros and cons list, weight versus tiredness and all that. The other thing I recommend is having some what we call 550 cord or twine. And I keep two types, either black or green or brown, like some kind of natural neutral color, but then a high visibility color. Because if you want to be rescued because you're trapped out somewhere, you want to be able to be seen. So there's like this orange reflective 550 cord. The other thing for camping sites is I think it's called like the 100-foot rule or the 100-foot triangle, whatever it is. You want to try and split your camping site up into where you camp and like bed down, and then 100 feet away should be where you eat. You don't want to eat where you camp, because then like the bears and the foxes and coyotes, they'll go where your food was, whether that's because like you dropped like a drop of food and they can smell that, or you left, pieces of food there, or you buried your food there. So keep your campsite at least 100 feet away from your food. And then the other piece of that triangle is your bathroom. Wherever you dig your latrines or do your business should be 100 feet from both of those. So that's your kind of camping triangle, is food, shelter, and waste. So what I do, or what I recommend, is have, your 550 cord cut into like 100-foot or 150-foot sections, and then from your campsite to your bathroom site, string that high visibility cord. So if you get up in the middle of the night and it's dark, you can just see that cord and follow it to where you need to go, and then follow it back. So you don't get lost or have to use your flashlight in the middle of the night as much. You can use that reflective high visibility 550 cord to set that up. But if like you're making your tent stakes and like you're staking down your tent, you don't necessarily want or need high visibility, shot cord or 550 cord for that. Just use cheaper, black 550 cord to stake down your tent. So have those. They can also be used as tourniquets, but that's really not a good idea. You want something thicker than that because you don't want to actually like cut the limb. So if you need to, you can, but there's a lot of uses for this. Whether it's putting up your tarp instead of a tent. So 550 cord or some kind of, twine is a good thing to keep in your kit. So I think that covers the tools page here. Let me. Yep. So
Sorry.
yep, go back to first aid. So first aid, this one I'm going to give the least amount on because I'm not like qualified to teach first aid. See if like your local hospitals will do like basic first aid courses. I know like the indoor gun range near us gives like monthly courses on like minimum first aid, like trauma first aid, like various levels of first aid kits. But at the very least, watch some YouTube videos of how to do certain things, but get training on first aid, because for everybody that wants to keep a gun for self-defense, you're like 20 times more likely to come across or be in a bad car accident than you are like a self-defense shooting. You're far more likely to need to use your first aid kit than your gun. So learn how to do the first aid stuff. Carry the gun, train with the gun as well, but first aid is like the way more critical, important thing to learn how to do, because it's much, more important for saving lives. So the big thing I would say are look for your first aid kits. There's a bunch of these on Amazon. They range in different sizes. The individual sized ones should be like the size about like half a loaf of bread or something like that. Like they're not very big, they're not very heavy. I did talk to a friend of mine who went to like who's an EMS like medic, and I was like, here's what I've got. What do you recommend? Like, where are my weak spots? And he's like, more gauze. Like, the more gauze pads you can have, the better. He's like, we just like you'll think you'll need 3 or 4, you use a dozen. Like those cheap gauze pads, they're like $12 for a box of 100 or like 150. Just stock up on those. And if you come across like something bleeding, just keep stuff more gauze in it. If the gauze soaks through, take it off, put more on. Like you can't have enough gauze. Safety glasses, these were brought up as like a camping thing, because when you're walking through the woods, you're gonna get like whacked in the face with branches. You don't want getting an eye poked out to be like the first thing to happen to you. So those little like 3M things are like $8 or $12. They're super lightweight. They, store anywhere. I've got like 3 or 4 of them. I think I bought like a 4 pack for $20 one day, and I take them to the shooting range. They're, pretty like slim. They're not like big goggles that I put on from like high school or anything to do lab experiments. They don't get in the way or like make me distracted, and they protect your eyes from, both at the shooting range from catching hot brass or getting, poked in the eye. I know when we were watching a TV show the other day, there was somebody in a hospital bed like sick and dying, and somebody was like trying to talk to him and like leaning over inches from their face, and I'm like, this guy's gonna cough blood in your face. Like, there's no way I'm leaning that close. Like, wear a face mask, wear safety glasses. Like, I don't want somebody spitting blood in my eye. Like, I'm getting my eyes covered. Saline sprays to like rinse out a wound before you like pack stuff on it. Infections are the worst thing you can get in, yeah, saran wrap or like clear garbage bags or Ziploc bags. Just keep a bunch of those on hand. You can store things in them. The saline sprays, what you'll see a lot of times is like somebody gets injured, like, something jabs into their leg or whatever, or like they, slide down a hill and it scrapes off a layer of skin. Don't just start putting gauze on top of that, because then all that dirt and grime is getting, stored in the wound, and the body has to heal around it or over it. Rinse it off first. Those saline sprays aren't that expensive either. Like first aid stuff is actually pretty cheap for, what it does at saving your life. It's a pretty low cost to like reward ratio. So buy those Arm & Hammer saline sprays to rinse it out, isopropyl alcohol, iodine, anything like that. Um, okay, so yeah, I think we're luckily pretty close to the end. There's only one more after this. So the trauma shears, if you've got a good pair of scissors at home, get your, scissors, better than nothing. But trauma shears are great for like cutting through clothing. If you've seen like any, hospital TV show, when they throw somebody on a stretcher, run up, they're snipping clothes off to, put pads on somebody, or, cut clothes off to, tourniquet a wound or whatever it is. Get those. Chest seals, we were taught these, in the military, for somebody gets shot through the lung and like they can't breathe. A Ziploc bag and some duct tape, tape off 3 sides. For a chest seal, you want one side to exhale, but when they suck air in, you want it to seal against the wound. So that's neat. Splints, have a splint. Everybody's seen, 2 sticks, tie something around it to splint a leg. You can makeshift ones. There's, portable splints that like unfold and things. Just regular gauze and wraps. Electrolytes, keep like little gel packets of like Powerade gel, or like, runners have those little like gel packets for like on a run to give you energy real quick. And then like these 3M, if you don't want to buy like a full-on gas mask, it's like 500 or $700, just go to the store and get a painter's, and that'll filter out, 90% of smoke and ash and anything in the air. So again, better than nothing. But having something bad now is worse than saving up for the expensive thing that you don't have when you need it. So get something cheap now that'll work, and then save up for the good thing. And last slide. The most important part of your kit is a reason to enjoy going camping. So camping chairs, like on the left there, don't go to Walmart and buy those $20 ones that fall apart the second time you use them. These really cool like camping chairs fold up into about the size of a 2 liter like jug of soda. Like they fold up super small. They're like a pound or two. They're $40. They, hold up to like 350 pounds. Like they're super durable, lightweight, super comfy. They're a little low to the ground because legs aren't that long, but they're great to just throw in a pack or carry with you. An e-reader, I I loved getting my e-reader, because then when I moved around the military, I didn't feel like I had to limit myself to like 20 books, because books take up a lot of space. An e-reader can have infinite books. A portable speaker to listen to music, Bluetooth, or watch movies on, your cell phone or your tablet, whatever that is. Camping, one of the greatest luxuries for camping is a small camping pillow. There are inflatable ones that you can blow air into. There are just like take a normal pillow. They make small like half-size pillows you can roll up and stuff anywhere in your pack where you've got room. A pillow is like will change your night camping over not having one, or having to like roll up a jacket and use that as a pillow. And then snacks, whatever kind of snack you want to keep, whether it's beef jerky, peanut M&Ms. I don't recommend anything with chocolate, because chocolate will melt. Licorice, anything like that. So bring some snacks that you're going to enjoy. Have luxury items so that camping isn't just like suffering through survival. So I'm surprised I made it in time, because I could have gone for much longer. I feel like I skipped through everything really quick, but I didn't even cover like guns and shooting, and because that would be a 2 hour thing on its own just to get to that. But this hopefully covers like the basics. Again, I'll paste the Amazon wish list. Look through there. There's way more gear on that than I put on the slideshow, because I wanted to have good examples of everything, but not everything. But that's the whole kind of like point of the list, is here's, the things you'll need. And I tried to add several options. I'll try to go through and add some more on there, because there's always more. If you're not sure, the biggest thing is look at the brand name. Maybe I'm assuming a little bit, but if you recognize the name, it's probably solid. Like if you see Coleman or Yeti or anything like that, like it's probably a solid item. If you're not sure, feel free to ask me. I never will, not want to look into something like that. So shoot me the link to it in Slack or here in Zoom or whatever else, and I'll look up and give you my recommendation. But let me know if there's anything missing from this list that you think. But hopefully that gives you at least a good kind of quick, in the grand scheme of things, rapid fire lesson on surviving
So
through
there's a
hopefully
couple of
anything.
trainings that we have coming up for Brian. Brian is going to teach so you just shot someone, what now training. And I think it's honestly super important because like everybody's like, oh yeah, I mean like make sure you have a gun if you're a real estate agent. But like have yet to see one brokerage teach anything other than self-defense. Well, what happens when you actually do defend yourself? Like, how do you legally protect yourself? How do you make sure that you're going to be protected?
Yeah.
And
And
then go ahead.
the other thing is you don't rise to the occasion. Like very few people become heroes that have never prepared for it. You fall to the level of your training. So when you're in those like panic, stressful situations, like if you just shot somebody, that's not the time you want to like, okay, I need to call the cops until like, don't try to figure out your plan then. If you like run through it 3 or 4 times, like, okay, self-defense shooting, here's my little like cheat card with the 3 or 4 steps to take. Like call the cops, call my lawyer, make sure everybody's safe, make sure nobody needs first aid, like all those kinds of things. You want to have that list in your head beforehand so that you're not figuring it out at the time in the moment.
Yeah. And then the other one that I want to do with Brian is because I was like, oh, I'll do it at the end of this one, but obviously that's not going to work. So I want to do a training that's just like rapid firing questions at him. Like power goes down nationwide. First 24 hours are the first three things you do. And he'll actually answer these questions. Water supply is gone. Where do you get water in a city within 6 hours? Grocery stores emptied in 48 hours. What food sources are left that people over like he already, I guarantee you he has answers to these. Someone shows up at your door asking for food. What would you do? Just
Yeah.
different shit like that. He already has a fucking answer in his head. And
Because
so
I
I just would love to just ask him these questions and hear what he says.